Welcome to my weekly design training where I share free design tips with designers. I have this design I received from a designer during the week. I'm going to share what is working and what is not working in the design. I'm going to show you guys my version of the artwork. I'm sure you're going to learn from this tutorial. So let's start. This project here is beautiful. All right. And if you are the designer, you're watching your screen right now, I want to say this to you that where playing with value is concerned, you are really doing good. When I say playing with value, I'm referring to the part of playing with the brightness and the dark side of using color. All right. Now, this is what I'm trying to say. If you look at this red here, you will notice that it's very clear on this background. This black here is very clear, all right, on this background. So the part of using contrast where combining color is concerned is so beautiful here. And that's the reason why this project looks sweet to our eye. You see, the part of balancing the use of color is one of the most important side of graphic design. You're not playing with color right can make your project look dull. And that's what I noticed this designer did here. He or she did a good job where balancing the value of the color in this project is concerned. And another beautiful thing I love about this project here is the way the designer play with scale. Man, the way the designer play with this scale of the, the food here, it's so beautiful. You notice this is bigger than this. And yeah, this and this almost share the same size, but this looks more like it's bigger than this. And playing with scale, all right, is also part of how you make your project look dynamic. It's part of how you make it look interesting to the eye. And that is what this designer did here. Now, the part of the scale is the perspective part of the principles of design, all right, which is making elements that looks bigger to us look like it's close to us, and the elements that are small look like they are far from us. And that's what I noticed this designer did here. This is beautiful. All right, so let's go to the errors in the project. Now, you see, graphic design is you informing the viewers. How you place the informing the viewers is very important in every design project you are asked to work on. The part of using color the right way is good, but it's not enough to pass the message. What the color do to the design is to spice it, to make it look sweet. But the part of the information, the part of passing the information is very, very key. I took my time to read the information on the project, and I found out that the message here is to promote an app where they can buy food on the internet. And I see more of the food here, and I can also see a mobile phone which really connects well, with the message. But before you can get the message here, you need to really take your time to look at the project deeply before you can quickly get the message. And we're in a world where people are very lazy when it comes to spending their time to look at something. Now, there are times when people will take their time to look at information like design content. But what will make them stay to really spend their time to look at the project is when they see something they are not used to, when they see something different. All right, which really, this project really passed that test, which is the part of making the food bigger. When you're asked to work on design project, okay, consider both the people who are in a hurry to quickly get the message and also the people who are ready to stay to go through the information in the project. All right. So this project here is talking about food and app, but the real goal here is the app. All right. The real goal here is the app. The making of the food here is beautiful. The making of the food this size here is beautiful. All right. But repeating of food here is making the page look a bit different from the message that it needs to pass. The food here now is taking, let's say, 80% than the real focus. The focus is the app and not the food. So the food should be used to draw attention so people look at the app. But as it is right now, the food is even covering part of the app, and this really affects the passing the message correctly in this project. Another thing I noticed again that did not really flow well here is the use of vector elements here. All right, these other elements here are not really necessary. All right, these are not really necessary. You see, this bold looking image here is enough to make people want to read the information in the project. Now, this is for the way. So if you take out this, all right, all these elements now, and then you now have just this food with the mobile phone with the dude here, you are still not making it easy for people to quickly read the information fast. So how you really need to make people read the information fast to make them understand what the message is about is to make your title dynamic enough to speak to the viewers in the tone that they understand. And that's why, as a designer, when we're asked to work on design project, our title needs to look more interesting so it quickly draws the viewer's attention. Now, there are times where you don't really need to make your title too dynamic. All right. Yeah. But you do this when the information on the project calls for it. But if the information in the project did not call for it, please play. Now, for me, when it comes to designing food projects, like food posters, I like to make my title dynamic. I like to make it playful. And I'll tell you why. You see, typography are also used like images. They are like pictures. How you play with them also matters. The way you play with them in your project is also part of how you help make the viewers know what the project is about. So we're talking about food here. And when it comes to food, you should know that everything should be happy. All right. Anything that is connected to the food should show happiness. And how you can depict happiness with type is by making it look dynamic. Don't make it look this, this plain. All right. Typography is also part of how we depict joy. The way we play with type, the way we play with type in our project, the type of character we use in our project is also part of how we depict joy and happiness in our project. So I'm going to show you guys the redesigned version, and I'll explain and I'll show you guys how I play with type in my version. But before I get to that, the other part that the designer did not do well here, where really communicating the message right, is the hiding this information here. This button here is very important because we're talking about placing an order. So I expect to see this button here that shows place your order, because this button here is also part of how you really make the people know that, yes, this is actually an app where, or a platform where you can purchase something. So the hiding of this really make this project look like, see, this is what I actually want to sell. Forget about this. So if you're talking about, or you're promoting two items or two things in your project, it's always best to make those two things visible. In fact, make it so visible to the point where anything that is not necessary, that is not part of the title, should not be close to it. And that's why I don't accept the way this overlap on this mobile phone here. We get calls a lot from folks who are looking forward to go into design but can't afford to pay for design school. And because of this, we decided to start a foundation where we can be a blessing to these people. Now we're looking at getting tools and gadgets in order for us to meet our goals. And this is where we need you to support us with your donations. So if you have any amount you think you can support us with, kindly send it to the account details on the screen. And if you're outside Nigeria and you wish to be part of this move, you can make use of the seller link below the account details. Every amount that comes from you will be highly appreciated. Thank you, and let's continue the tutorial. So this is the first option, and I still used all the elements the designer used in his version. I'm thinking the reason why the designer decided not to really make this visible is because he or she is shy of making it visible, or he or she is scared of not making the project look too heavy. You see, these elements here are suitable for when you really want to direct your viewers to one particular element in your project or a particular information in your project. And you will notice in my version here that there's a particular location where we have the center of this radial effect here. That part where we have the center part of the radial effect is where I plan to place the important information, or the information I want to direct my viewers to see first. So I'm going to activate the image of the character, which, as a designer, the image of your character or your illustration is what mostly shape the layout of your project. It's always best to place your image first before arranging any other element in your project. All right. So that's the reason why I decided to first show you guys this and also explain how I place the element in the illustration. So I decided to make this visible because this is actually the goal. All right, this is actually the goal. This here is also part of the goal. All right, but this is just to draw the attention of the viewers, because this is not the only item I believe that you can purchase from the app. So the work of this is to just draw the attention of the viewers to look at this. And to really make this balance, I decided to change the angle of this image a bit in order for people to see this, so that the message will be so clear fast when the viewer sees it. So then the other thing that I also did here is to get rid of elements that are not really necessary on the image. You notice in the designer's version, we have some elements flying around here. So those elements are not necessary. All right. Putting them here is going to hide this. And I believe you guys can easily see the mobile phone with the information we have on it, clearly here now. Then before I get to the next layer, I want to quickly share this, that I decided to use this frame here because the information in the project is not too much to use a portrait frame for it. The reason why we mostly use portrait frame is when we notice we have too many content that we're using in the project. But in a case where you have less content, you don't need the portrait frame for the project. When you use the portrait frame with less information or less content in the project, it always makes it look like something is missing in the project. All right, so don't use the portrait frame because, okay, yes, you want to make people know that, yes, you also know how to use it. No, use the portrait frame having the content in the project in mind. Okay, good. Then I'll go straight to the title. So there are several ways you can play with your title. This is not the only solution to making this look like this. All right, there are several ways you can do this. In fact, if this happens to be my project, the type of character I'm going to use here is not this. I'll use another playful character that, will make the project look more playful. All right. And another thing I did here that really made Unity balance here is the use of elements from my illustration. I've been teaching you guys this So I know some of you have heard me say this before, that it's always nice to pick from your illustration and apply it to other information in your project. Aside from the fact that I picked the color from the app, if you look at this shape here, you'll notice that it's the same shape we have here that I repeated here. Now, the reason why I decided to do this is to create unity. All right, is to create unity in the project, which is also part of how I'm going to advise every one of you to start, working on design project. Try to always apply this to your project, and I assure you that your project will always look interesting and successful. Okay, then we now get to the contact. Now the contact is not really visible here. Why? Because there's something I put behind this that made this visible, which is this board that we have here. Now I decided to still use the same board because I don't want I want the designer to understand my point where placing elements on the illustration in your project, because I really want the viewers to see this information here and also to see the mobile phone, that yes, the mobile phone is actually the goal here. I decided to place this board behind the gadget in order to really project the gadget clearly to the viewers. This is my first option here. Now, I decided to do a second option because I know there are times where, as designers, your clients will say, no, I don't want us to have this yellow color on our background. And really, the yellow color is beautiful. So I so much love it. All right. Or orange. All right. Color here. So there are times where your clients will say, no, can we have another color? So let's say you decided to go for white because, white is another color that, we really go well for project like this because of the value of the type of, colors that we have on the title, on the image of the character. But if you use white, all right, it's going to be difficult for people to see the color of the character's outfit. So I decided to change the color of the character. All right, so I decided to put this. So this is what the color of the outfit on the character looks like without that effect that I did, and this is what it looks like with the changing of the color. All right, so still the same layout, but the color and the background color is what I changed with the color of the radial line effect there. All right, so then we now have the logo. So I think this is it. I hope you guys learned something from this training, and if you do, can I see you drop a like? I'm glad you made it to the end of this video. If you have not subscribed, remember to hit the subscribe button. Now, guys, let's help other creatives. If you know anyone who is fighting with understanding how to achieve successful design projects or still find it hard to understand the principles of design, kindly share this video with them. All right. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.